and I have this and I have that. But, you know, that's not going to help you when you have to leave this body and stand before Śrīla Prabhupāda and account for yourself. That what did you do with this life? Why did you break your promise? You're going to have to explain that to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Because if you took initiation from Śrīla Prabhupāda, he's still maintaining his promise to you, but you haven't maintained your promise to him. So I have to say to all my God brothers that if you're not preaching, and by this I mean favorably introducing people to the esoteric teaching of the Vedas in such a way that they transform their consciousness. If you're not doing that, you know, then you have broken your promise to Śrīla Prabhupada. Even if you are yourself practicing strictly, which if you're not preaching, I doubt that you would practice strictly. This is another point. Once we come to represent the instructions of the scriptures to others, it starts to matter a lot more how well we are following ourselves. I mean, if we're not preaching, if we're just off hiding somewhere, then nobody's going to hold us to account, at least, you know, in our daily life, as to, well, you know, are you really following? Are you really practicing? But if we're representing this teaching to others, and we aren't practicing it ourselves, you know, if we have the odd lunch down at the fast food place downtown, or if we, you know, have the odd funny cigarette with the boys down in the basement, or, you know, if we have the odd girlfriend or boyfriend and, you know, have a little date once in a while, or, you know, if we go do some gambling or some funny business practices, then, you know, nobody's really going to care unless we're preaching. Then all of a sudden, people really start to care. How are you going to preach if you're not doing it yourself? How are you going to teach others if you're not following the example? Like Śrīla Prabhupāda used to say, how can you teach someone not to smoke if you yourself are smoking? I remember one time I went to this Ayurvedic doctor, and he was saying, you should take only raw vegetables. That's all you should eat, just raw vegetables. And I'm like, what are you cooking? Oh, it's just chicken. But you should eat raw vegetables. I was like, hey, doc, you know, when I see you wolfing down a salad when I come to your office, then, you know, then we can talk about it. But, you know, it was the middle of winter in Chicago. How could anybody eat raw vegetables in the middle of winter? That's crazy. But anyway, you have to be the example. If you want people to take up some branch of knowledge or some practice, especially, you have to show them. This is how it's done. This is what I'm doing. You see, I'm doing this, and my life is going very well. So you should also do this, and then your life will go well also. See, like nobody believes that you can be celibate and be happy. See, nobody believes that you could not take intoxication and still like be okay. See, nobody believes these things. Nobody believes even that you could be a vegetarian and still maintain health. But we're the example. We're happy and healthy and everything is going very well, and we don't do any of those things. So try to understand what we're doing is teaching by example. And that's really the only way to teach. You know, if you go to a math class and the teacher says, okay, here's the problem. 2x plus y minus z equals 37, you know. Now, solve the equation. And the students say, well, how do you solve that kind of equation? And the teacher says, I don't know. But you have to figure out how to solve it. No. First, the teacher has to work through the equation and show the solution. Oh, here's how it's done. Then the students can say, oh, okay, yeah, I can see you did it, so that means I can do it too. That's teaching. Without giving an example, how can you teach? So we're showing the example. We're actually living the life of a devotee. And you can see that we're doing fine. So that means you can do it too. If we can do it, you can do it. We're no different from anybody else. We're just an average person. You know, so anybody can do this. You have to want to do it. That's the key. You have to understand the importance of being a devotee. That's the whole trick. And if you do that, then Krishna will give the facility to actually become a devotee. Krishna is very kind, and he likes to satisfy the desires of his devotees. But he doesn't so much like to satisfy the desires of his non-devotees. And you can see they have a lot of problems trying to get what they want. They're always struggling and fighting and, you know, so many failures and like that. But a devotee, once a devotee convinces Krishna that he's sincere, Krishna gives all facility. We experience this every day. So try to do this. Try to actually make that promise to Krishna. Try to follow through on that promise. And then Krishna will also reciprocate with you. This is the eternal promise. That even, you know, if I'm not here, Krishna still knows your promise. And Krishna will reciprocate. Krishna will uphold the promise of his devotee to give self-realization, to give facility, to protect his devotees. Even long after the devotee is gone from this world. But you have to maintain your side of the promise. That's the requirement. So, are there any questions?
Let me go back and read. One general question from Ronald Singh: how many initiations are we having?
I think the last count was 7. Plus the devotees who got initiated and didn't have a fire sacrifice. That would be 10.
Question from David Lugan. May I invite few friends to join the online community?
Sure. You know, the best thing is that they look over the regular site first. You know, the front part of the site, the way we set up the site is like that for a reason. And the reason is we want people to go through the introductory material before they come into the community part of the site. That's why we put the community menu all the way over on the right. It's the last thing. If you start from the beginning, there's the home menu, and then there's the video and the audio and the other stuff. It's that way for a reason. We want people to go through the introductory materials before they come into the community site, so that they know what the community is about. Because if they just come in and then, you know, they're trying to figure out what's going on, what are these people up to, they're going to be like totally confused. So if these people are new, make sure they go through our introductory seminar and the 2012 seminar, and maybe Secrets of the Soul and Ishopanishad and like that, before they actually come to the community site. That way they'll know what's going on. Otherwise, you know, you don't just dump somebody in there cold. They'll be like freaking out. And that might be worse than, you know, the result might be worse than the beginning if they make some offense or something like that. Generally speaking, we don't want like brand new people coming right away to the community site. We want them to go through some of our teachings, some of our videos first. Then they know what this is about. They understand some of our language and some of our lingo, you know. They won't be getting misunderstood terms every time they turn around. So be a little careful who you invite.
Question from Prasad. Pardon me if it's offensive to ask about personal realization. Can you please share more